Hi everyone. First of all, there was a delay, but I feel delay is always good, right? Because then you get some time to have your breathe down. Because I'm little not feeling well, but then I hope that you guys enjoy it. And let's start the talk on a low note, okay? Because I prefer low note as a starting. Um, So what is the expectation out of this session? Unlocking front-end system design. Few answers, maybe three from this side. You can raise your hands. No? Which means either you are sleeping or either you have not read. Um, okay. So we have seen that backend people generally, when they go to the product-based company, right, and then there are a couple of rounds, interview rounds that happens in the beginning. And then there will be important round which is called system design round, right? 10 years back, there was nothing like front-end system design, okay? Reason being, there were very plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And they were really made to show some data on the UI so that people know that okay, what is there on the what is going on, right? So that's very I would say vague explanation of my talk. um, I was just asking earlier if I'm audible, right? So few of you guys must have this answer in your mind. Uh, I really appreciate that you respected. Okay, so little about me. I'm a father of a beautiful daughter. I'm an explorer, problem solver, an innovator, and a speaker. So this is how I generally feel. I look for my friends, I keep smiling, so that it doesn't look that I'm a first-time speaker, right? Of course, I'm not, so don't worry. Um, as Jaideep said, I recently, started a TechnoFuzn products, leaving my full-time job behind, and then there is a lot to discuss. So this is a QR code which will redirect you to my LinkedIn profile, where we can connect and then get going. Without further delay, I'll start with, left align title, something which I forgot to edit. So basically, I'll go with the agenda, what we are going to discuss, okay? Um, First of all, introduction. Not my introduction about the session. As I said, front-end system design is all about how to make it performant, right? When you want to scale it, you want to grow big. Earlier, it used to be that front-end was simply something like a poster, right? There has to be like static web page and all those things. Little by years, it started being so responsive, so data-driven, and of course bulky, right? That we have to think about scaling, performance, and everything. So that's where my talk is going towards. Second is evaluation of front-end complexity in modern applications, right? So as I said, I mean, mostly I see younger faces, but then those who started their career 10, 15 years back, um, as I said, it was very simple. And nowadays, almost there is everything, right? Even if you, back then, you, you do some sort of drag and drop, it was kind of something, seems like a magic, right? There is a um, different efforts that you have to put to do that. Nowadays, it is very seamless. And with that, there are so many things with use of Gen AI, right? People are developing no code, low code, and so many things that I don't want to discuss in this specific session. So that's how I guess modern applications has grown, right? Then fundamentals of front-end system design, I think majority of the things remain same in terms of basics. But then there are specific things which only affects front-end, right? And then when we start coding, we say, okay, 1 + 1 = 2, we are done. But that's where it all starts, right? When thing grows, right, then it doesn't work like that. So we will go deep into what are the fundamentals, and then as my topic suggested, performance deep dive, I'll let you through the performance. What are the measurement matrices, methods, standards, trade-offs, and my personal experience towards performance, right? And then finally, we will have question answer session. I hope you earlier didn't ask any question or answer, so you won't ask at the last as well, and that will leave me happy. So people are just looking at my face. I don't know this audience is not understanding humors or just laughing behind their cheek. Okay, so let's start with the performance metrics and benchmarking. Okay. So, please read. So when someone talks about performance, right, what are the things that comes into our mind? Performance review, maybe yearly appraisal, right? But then there is a review about our applications as well, right? What we develop. It is not always that backend sends us a data, you show it on the UI, and you are done with it. There is something called how much time it takes to bring that data. You work on it, you polish the data, and then you show it. There are scrolls, there are so many other things, right? And then that's where front end gets heavy. Without further delay, I would like to introduce some of the terms. I'll not ask questions, but just do let me know if you guys, I mean, how many of you have, before coming to here, have heard of this terminologies? Please raise your hands. So I can know, where are those people, experts. Okay, so of course, my talk will not explain you the definitions. I'm just here to share the experiences, right? You can find your definitions on the ChatGPT official documentations. I'm not here to read those documentations and plain stuffs. So this is an industry standard, right? Time to first byte. When I say backend sends some data and then you print it or show it on the UI, we never thought of performances. And that's when sometime it happens that you enter the URL and then something is keep loading, right? Sometime images is coming, some random image, and once the page loads, and then you find that, okay, that image is not there once the full page is loaded. Okay, so that type of silly things happens. So while we discuss, right, time to first byte, it is when you request backend for certain data, and then it comes back with that data, and then you feel that, okay, it started coming. So ideally, the industry standard says that it has to be less than 200 milliseconds. So there are certain other aspect of it. Okay, before going too technical about it, I would like to tell you a story, okay, so that everyone can relate. So first of all, let's assume, keep your mind open, that what we want to build, Instagram, Facebook, like I'll prefer what you guys say. वो संसद में वो पास करते हैं ना ऐसे. इंस्टाग्राम वाले कितने? हाँ, ज़्यादा ही हो गए. Okay. let's start with Instagram, okay? Let's take an assumption that we want to build an Instagram. तो पूरा तो नहीं बना देंगे, 30 मिनट ही है अभी मेरे पास, है ना? तो but we will see that what are the things we need to take into consideration. So there are a couple of things. अभी मैं वेब का डिस्कस कर रहा हूँ ऐसा नहीं है. मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द थिंग्स अफेक्ट एवरीथिंग, ओके? तो किसी को ऐसा है कि वेब के लिए ऐसा भी नहीं है. ओके, देर आर फ्यू थिंग्स लाइक फर्स्ट कंटेंटफुल पेज. आपने लोड किया, आपको क्या दिख रहा है, राइट? देन लार्जेस्ट contentful paint, which means that there is certain element which is large, and then how much time does it take to paint. First input delay, I mean, I'm just giving you ideas. I think nobody gonna remember this. I'll share the slide, and I don't want to explain as well, but what I'm saying is there are certain things exist, okay? And then cumulative layout shift. I think previously we had a couple of browsers to support, right? And then responsiveness came. With the evaluation of mobile, we again have to support the same UI to mobile, right? Back then, 15 years ago, it wasn't the case because we were using Nokia, right? That small device. Okay. Now there is a performance deep dive, and I think there are 20 minutes I've assigned. Okay. But I've prepared to create a slides for it. Okay. So anyone who can speak here for 20 minutes, 2 minutes. Cheers for him. Okay. Okay. So performance deep dive. Before that, I wanted to show you something. Okay. How many of you really thought that I missed creating slides? No one? Okay. Okay. So before going to that, of course, that doesn't need a slide. So what I'm trying to explain is, for next 20 minutes, I'll go through what are the things that required, right? So what we thought is we want to create an Instagram, okay? Of course, we will not create a whole Instagram, but let's assume that we want to create a story. That story will have either image or video. It will have a caption. It will have something else. So let's talk one by one. What does that mean? You also try to relate based on what system you are targeting in your mind. So high level, we will be discussing requirements. Second thing is we will be discussing high level architecture, what we want to support. Third one being data model, how we want to fetch the data and all architecture wise. API model, optimization, performance, security, accessibility. I'll be discussing detailed into optimization and performance, so don't worry about it. So, but then we will go little quick on this one, right? Okay. So when I say requirements, right? So when someone comes to you that, okay, I want to build something. So there are two types of requirements. Majorly, we focus on the first one, which is a functional, right? So that's where I want to give more emphasis on non-functional requirements, because when typical service project comes to us, what we see, like, okay, there will be features, there will be modules, right? How each features work. We click here and then it goes there. If we go back, it goes there. Workflows, everything, but nobody talks about the performance, right? Of course, we ask the question like, okay, will it support mobile? But then we never ask in those details that what sort of mobile, what dimensions, are we considering everything? Then responsiveness, accessibility, asset optimization, right? So of course, sometime, have you seen any websites where, website keeps loading and then, I mean, as a developer, you just inspect and you found that, okay, the image which was there, it was kind of 2 MB image. Anyone? Okay. Why that happens, right? Because nobody compress it, right? So if Angular is compressing your assets, it's fine, but I'll not do. Why? Because I've never thought of performances. And then client-side rendering, server-side rendering, authentication, authorization, like for the security, caching, and offline support. So these are the few things that we have to ask while you build, right? So like if you don't have internet on your mobile, should Instagram work? Is it working? No? Is it loading? Yes. So that's where offline support comes, right? It doesn't show that please turn on your internet to use it. So that's where you have to start thinking that what sort of support you want to give. So to support the offline, they are using caching. At what level of deep you want to support the caching, right? In terms of performance, there are service workers and so many things. I think the subsequent session is very detailed around it, so I'll just skip that part. Okay. So this was all about the requirements. Everything starts from the requirements. Now we already talked about Instagram, so I'll just go further. Okay. So this is something I just envisioned how my Instagram should look like, right? So there will be a backend server. As we are a web folks, we doesn't care about it, right? So what is there on the server side as of now? So there is a server. We get the data from the API. We talk via JSON. And then this is all about client, right? What we care about. So let's just assume that inside the client, your app.js, once everything gets compiled, even if it is TypeScript, it gets to transpiled to JavaScript. You have app.js, you have a controller, you have a data model. Typical MVM structure I'm discussing here. Again, around the architecture, there are so many patterns that you can follow. Now, if you check about the view layers, right? So that's where everything comes into the picture. If you see in the body view, there are 4 items. Just assume that these are your post, reels, anything. Reels are something else, but just consider a post. And then there is a load more. Here I just simplified by putting a load more, but then we have an infinite scroll on the Instagram, right? So how everything works, right? So smoothly, we never get annoyed. Like you just go on, and for 3 hours it just keep running, even if you can scroll for a long night. So पहले ये समझ में आया सबको what we are doing? Okay. Then come to the data model. Like backend में तो architecture बहुत ही मतलब कैसा होता है, right? We can't think of ये database है, यहाँ पे जाता है, इसकी primary की यहाँ से यहाँ घुसती है ना? Front end में हमको चीज़ें simple रखनी पड़ती है, right? So just understand कि मतलब ये read नहीं करना है ना? Read नहीं करना है, यहाँ पे देखना है. So I'm just trying to understand कि भाई KYC details, there are few things. I've created an interfaces. So what I'm trying to explain you is there are few things. तो JSON में भी like there is a flat JSON और कहीं में ऐसा होता है कि there is a value as an object again, right? So then when you are doing something called a filtering, some other things, then that hurts a performance, right? So basically it is very dynamic. You have to decide what feature, what functionality I am targeting, what is important for me, right? Is it something like if you are filtering, then if you have a data again and again inside the loop, then it will take an ages, right, for you to filter those. So Of course, you do those map, filter, and reduce and everything, if I talk little technical, but then it hurts, right? We don't want that. So that's where data model is very important, how you choose the data. आपके में कितने ऐसे हैं जो ऐसे वर्क करते हैं कि बैकएंड वाले ने पूछा कि मुझे ये एपीआई बनानी है, एंड देन फ्रंट एंड वाला बोलता है कि मुझे ये फॉर्मेट में भेजो. कितना ऐसा कितना करते हैं ना. जो लोग नहीं करते, आप सोचो और स्टार्ट करो, है ना. बिकॉज देन यू हैव टू स्टार्ट थिंकिंग in which format I need, because for backend person it is very easy, right? They always can send, they are friends. No, I'm serious. Okay, so we just talk about those 3 items. Okay, now we are moving to the performance thing, right? So I'm just giving you a direction, hints. I'm not typically the one who discuss the theory. I'll just give you a key pointers where you have to focus, right? You decide your own factors. I'll not teach what to do. You decide that, okay, in this project I'm working, what are the things that I can improve on? Not everything you have to work, right? So start from optimization performance, right? So you have an HTTP2 or web sockets. Okay. Something we just missed in between. Fonts are visible? No? Okay. So I just wanted to quickly discuss about what type of API architecture you use, right? So when we started, I mean, even industry standards, everybody uses REST, right? Majorly. And then we have GraphQLs, WebSockets, server-side renderings. There are options. So just think of 2 different things. As of now, we were just discussing Instagram. Now just put that aside. Now thinking about an WhatsApp, right? When you send someone a message, that has to go right away. And that's where socket comes into picture, right? You can't use for that REST API because there is a slight delay. So you have to understand the difference while architecting as well, that what combination you want to work. Not everything can go into REST. Not everything can go onto the sockets. Not everything can go onto the event-based architecture, right? You have to work in a combination. That's where micro frontend comes into the picture. I don't want to discuss micro frontend here. I had a separate talk. I'll share the slides for that as well. But then these are the key points. I don't want to discuss each and every pros and cons as well. Reason being that it will take our time. I'll share this. Whoever are interested, those can go. But of course, I can tell you, right? So there is a longer latency and connection timeout. Those things are there. For WebSockets, it is bi-directional, right? So those are the pros. There is a speed. So if you need a speed, you have to choose that. For server-side rendering, those are efficient. But then you have to decide what is your feature, what is your use case, and based on that, you decide that how efficient I want to make, right? And then for the load balancing and all, majority of our APIs are REST APIs nowadays, but then we are slowly evolving towards GraphQL and other as well. But then start thinking in a way, why, right? You always ask why question. Wherever you are going, your seniors, tech lead, decision makers, first thing is be a decision maker. If not, just ask questions, why? There is nothing to worry, right? You always ask question that why we took this decision, why this architecture, why the combination is like this. Can't we just move this out of the loop and then add something which can make more sense, right? So I'll just give you an example at the last, if time permits. Okay. Okay. When we talk about the networks, right, what we see is backend वाला बोलता है कि भाई मैंने API बना दी है, ये मेरा URL है, ये request payload है, get है तो बस आप डाल दो, चलने लगेगी. We just hit in the URL, data comes, and we are just like happy faces, right? But then there are so many things you have to check. those are the things, right? So first of all, compression headers. How many of you are aware of gzip? Okay, quite a few, right? But then there are brotil as well, which is little ahead of it. So there are this type of thing you have to explore. Caching, there is an Apollo caching, just explore at your own risk, as in time. Batch request, this is something important, right? So every day, if you are working on a product, nowadays, tracking is very important. Like, user clicked on this, if there is a product, which feature is getting a heat, okay? So he is always, opening an Instagram and then going on the new story. So they will be able to know that he is a creator, okay? But someone is having just finger up and up, so there will be an event which is a scrolling event, right? So the one who developed should know that what type of user someone is, okay? So for me, I don't use the Instagram. Then they will be able to know that, okay, he is hardly opening the Instagram when GDZ people are tagging him. So that's how the analytics works, right? I'm just giving you multiple examples on how you are using that analytics. Now for someone who is just scrolling for 3 hours, now Instagram is not interested in getting know that which other features are used by him. So for simply, they can group request whenever possible. That's where I'm coming, okay? So you don't want to make an API for every scroll that, okay, he clicked on this or he did this. You wait, combine, and then put a request. After that, image optimization, bundle splitting, compression, everything, it is written here. When you build your product, there are so many things you can apply, right? Nowadays, if you are using full-time framework, then out of the box, there are so many things when you are doing the production build, it comes out of the way, right? Minification, and uglification, tree shaking, there are so many other technical words that I don't want to repeat, but please be focused that what I want to use. And then if it is unused, then as a developer, you just remove it, yeah. Rather than let Angular or any other framework decide that, okay, um, what has to go to the recycle bin. This is very important one, and probably the last one in my talk, okay? This is around the rendering, right? So backend doesn't have rendering, but we do have. So first of all, what are the things that we always keep in mind, right? So we have an application case, be it mobile or web. How many of you have worked on browser database, right? And then server-side rendering, prevent concurrent requests, avoid duplication, mobile friendly. So these are all the things which impacts the performance. How? I'll discuss. Okay. Let's again take the Instagram into our mind back, right? So Instagram know their user. Okay, he is someone who use Instagram minimum 1 hour. Once he opens, he just scroll, 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 and very few posts that they interact with. Rather than there are few people who click. I mean, first scroll, then double tap, scroll, double tap. Someone are like they like reading the comments, right? There are comments which are more engaging than original reel. So what I'm trying to explain is by the audience, right? So as a developer, what you can think, how you think, you have to keep in mind everything, right? If that user is the one who is using 1 hour Instagram, then what you will do, you will preload few posts, right? The way you preload JavaScript, you will preload the data as well. Then there are imports only what is needed. These are few technical words, as in you have created a whole interface file, helper files. As a developer, don't put everything into export. You import it so that bundle size doesn't get, increased. This is very important. Focus on above the fold content, right? So when you have a website of, let's say, 5 to 6 scroll, first of all, when someone hits the URL, it is your first view, which is kind of a fold, which is visible to them. Once it is loaded, it is engaging, then only he will scroll down to the end. So what is important is you decide that, okay, first fold has to be very quick. And then by the time it loads, you prepare for the next fold. That's how performance increase. You might have seen so many websites where you just click and it goes. Why? There are so many analytics running behind. Analytics like what is the most engaging feature of our website or product, right? If it is, let's say, you're using Instagram and someone likes to, create a reel, so they always load everything which is required for that, rather than loading whole app, right? So I think with that, I don't want to discuss everything here, but the last one, rate limit, right? So this is a famous interview question as well, debounce and throttle. Just before that, CSS also there. So I mean, many of us, when we started our career, people used to say, don't put inline CSS, don't add through JavaScript, right? Why? Because when you go to the performance thing, it hurts, right? Browser बोलता है भाई ये क्या कर दिया आपने आपने ऐसा किया कि पहले मुझे फुल खाना खिलाया और फिर से लड्डू पिरस दिए, है ना? तो उतना उसको होता है हर्ट. तो प्लीज़ मेक श्योर that you never do this type of a small mistake because it hurts a lot. और इसके बाद debounce and throttle का भी ये सीन है कि so what you have to understand out of this, right? I'm not explaining you every single concept in detail, but what I'm trying to explain is the combination. Let's say earlier I said that, okay, group the request. How to group the request? Of course, you will put some analysis, but then you have to group it with the rate limit as well. Rate limit as in, if something is scrolling a bit, you put there a debounce and throttle in such a way that those API are not hitting that frequent. That's how you do the magic of performance. You have to analyze your specific case, how you want to build it, what specific thing you want to achieve. Okay? There is a accessibility thing. I'll tell you very famous personal experience of it, right? So there are a few things like area roles and cross-device testing compatibility, contrast, keyboard navigation, HTML5 semantics and all. These are the keywords. Go into detail, but what I'm trying to see, let's say keyboard navigation, right? Accessibility is not always for the specially abled people. It is for us as well, right? If you are using iPhone, Android, anything, there are so many accessibility features which normal people are also using. Sometimes they are meant to, increase the performance for us as well. The same thing you can do more efficiently. I'll give you an example. I was working on one feature called ledger balances. The earlier product, the feature was already there, but then it was working in a way where there were few drop-downs, few entries. So when user has to fill out the form, he will type something, then click on drop-down. He will again select something, then goes. Also to add new line, he has to click on. So it is very simple for developer to fix this using keyboard navigation, right? So if you, and the feature was already there, but nobody, thought of to create that using keyboard navigation because there were few custom, requirement that everybody was thinking that if we do that, it will complex it. But then when I joined, I just took that this can't happen, right? I mean, this can't go via this. Someone who is working there I mean, I was just testing myself as a developer testing, and I felt the pain, right? So if you felt the pain and you know that you have to work for next 6 months, then you start thinking that how to solve it, right? And that's where I I solved it in a way that the time was reduced by 80%. Okay, so the same form which earlier used to take 10 minutes, now it hardly takes 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, and that's where that makes a difference, right? And the last is security. Everybody talks about cores, XSLs, and rate limiting. Now, even rate limiting, I mean, first and last is okay. Everybody knows, I think, if you have already passed your interviews or maybe in the future interviews, how rate limiting, right? So, if someone is, calling your API and you get to know that, okay, this API shouldn't fire more than this, then again you can put the rate limiting on top of that. Because sometimes it happens that on the production it just gets fired, and then someone is just, then Chrome says, okay, I'm not responsive now, either you kill me or reload, right? So to avoid this thing, you have to, as a cautiously put the rate limit, right? Okay. For you guys to explore at home, these are something which are advanced matrices, P90, 95, and 99. Uh, I literally don't talk, will not talk anything about it, but please guys explore this and whatever till now I have provided, right? And try to learn that wherever you are working, what are these things which I can apply. I mean, it is not like I'm giving a session and then you just think, okay, I like this, cheers. You literally go back to work on Monday and just think that, okay, these are the things, what are the things that I can start applying. And literally, performance is everything, right? When you are driving a car and then if you are putting on an accelerator, right? And if you can't feel the car, then there is no point of it, right? So what I'm saying is, once you do that, then you will feel that how it feels, right? So with this, there are examples which I'll directly put it on the GitHub. Okay, I had it prepared in my VS Code to just show you that what are the minor differences that you can put to increase the performance. And when I say increase, majority of the time when novice coder is writing the code, right, which is written via ChatGPT, and the expert developers like you, they write that code, minimum 30-40 percentage of performance gap will be there. And then you apply this, and then you see that 70-80% of performance is increased. And that being the end of presentation, any questions? Please don't ask. Huge thanks to wonderful audience, and thanks for listening me very quiet. And anybody who wants to connect with me, please scan this QR. And I really appreciate the calm, composed, and the audience which I get today, right? Generally, you don't get it. So please, guys, keep some energy.